Hey everyone, this is Ben Flynn. I am one of the founders and the CTO of Bjönd Inc. And this video here is going to demonstrate a common use case and one that we use internally of the Bjönd platform. So what we're going to show today is how to leverage Bjönd to react to changes in the GitHub issue management software to keep a very simple and very easy to read task list for your developers or QA or whoever is doing development with you. So what I'm going to do here is I am first going to log in as a single user, and I'm going to show how we react to GitHub and what that can do, and then I'm going to show how you can set that up. So I'm going to keep this very simple. The demonstration only uses one user. It doesn't use a team of people, so that we can easily just show you very simple issues assigned, tasks assigned, and just how this would work. I'm going to mention how you can make it more robust as I go through, but just for simplicity, let's get this started. So I'm going to sign in as a user that I have made ahead of time, and this user happens to be a tenant administrator as well. And once you log in, I'm going to see the view that everyone, regardless of their role in the system, sees when they log in, and that is a very simple task list. And what you see here is a task list. On the right of that task list, you see an equalizer. That's what you use if you're a tenant administrator to administer your tenant. And on the left, you see a side panel. We're going to get to that in a second. If you have content creation rights, you get to use that. So just to simply start this off and to show what you can do, I'm going to go into my GitHub repository and I'm going to create a new issue. And I'm going to assign it to myself. I am not going to go into labels or projects or milestones. So there are ways to filter those, and I'll show you that when we get into the rule builder. But again, for simplicity, I am going to just hit submit, and you are going to see a task pop up immediately on my task list, and that is a GitHub issue. And it has some metadata on here. You can see a workload, you can see a priority, and those can be set as well. I'm going to get into that in a bit. But if I were an end user, I can now go in and click on this task, and you'll see some metadata on the side here, and you see a URL right here, and that can be clicked on, and that'll take you right to that particular issue. Now, also what I have set up in advance is so if I have a comment, and anyone can make a comment on an issue that happens to be assigned to me. So I'm just going to type a comment, hit comment button, and I have this system configured to give me a task for that as well. Since the issue is assigned to me, I'm going to have to look at every comment that is made. So that as well will have a very simple summary that's configurable, and it has a URL that takes me right to that issue with the comment. Now, let's go and say, all right, I've closed this issue. I'm done with that. We'll leave a comment. I'm going to get another task with that. And now I'm going to go in and mark these as complete and take them off my to-do list. So now we're back down to 0. And this is just a very simple illustration of what you can do. And again, you can make these as complex or as simple as you want, but the idea is to automate the data changes in Bjönd, or in GitHub, so they show up in Bjönd as a very simple workflow engine for the individual in your team. Now, how would I go about, first of all, setting this up in my tenant? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your tenant system admin tab right here, tenant administration. And here on the right, there is an integration tab. And if you go here, you'll see the integrations that are available for your tenant. Now you see the GitHub is already enabled for me, but if you start off and you don't have that enabled, it'll be on the right side. And very simply, you can drag any adapter from the right side to the left to enable it for your tenant. And what that does is it allows the rule builder to now have the events and the fields for those events in the builder itself, so you can react to those events. The second thing you're going to do, and this is running locally on my system right now, so the URL is going to look a little different. But if you click the pencil icon, it's going to give you a full URL that you can just copy and paste directly into your repository settings page. So if you go to your repository, you click on settings, go to webhooks. You'll see I already have one set up, but you can go in here, just paste, and all you have to do is select send me everything and set the content type to a JSON document. And that's it. At this point in time, you're going to get the events when they come through. Beyond is going to be smart enough to know what needs to be assigned and what not to be assigned, depending on the logic that we're going to show you in a second. The one setup task left to do is up to the individuals in the system. So the people on your team all have to put in their GitHub username. So if you go to your edit profile, integrations, you see GitHub here. And so every integration can specify what it needs to configure. If you click this pencil icon right here, it's going to give you a field, and you have to type in your GitHub handle. So that's mine right there, bcflint2. Once you have that in place, the system knows when an event comes through to whom that is going to be referring. So once you have that in place, everything should just work. Now, how do you set up the logic? The logic is the core of the system, obviously, and our system is generally an event-based rule engine to create workflows. So if you go to your task templates, the first thing you want to do is create task templates. These are what's actually going to be assigned to the individuals as tasks. So you'll see that there are 3 GitHub ones made in advance for this demo, one for issue, one for comment, and one for pull request. So if I select the edit icon next to a GitHub issue, you see it's a very simple task. Again, this is just to illustrate. You can get very deep into this if you really want to. But just for simplicity, I am going to assign a task saying that if someone has an issue assigned to them, and it's going to have a link on them already. The link happens automatically. So you create your task template here. The task instance will have the link to that particular URL for that issue automatically assigned to it. Now, all you do is create the instructions, and this is an HTML editor, so you can format it however you want. And then you can fill in some metadata. Expected duration, this is something we want at some point in time to automatically happen as well. It's tied to the template at this point. Clearly the issues are going to vary, so that's something we're going to have to work on, quite honestly. Workload and priority are 2 ways to filter your task list. So if you look at the task list here, you'll see workload is this column over here, and priority is a visual icon here. So you can do sort by your priority or your workload, or actually both of them, depending on the order you click on them. So that allows you to organize your to-do list. Now if I go back here, one other thing, and again, this is hard to demo because it's timing based, but also I just wanted to keep things simple. If you wanted to react to a task that is overdue, which is a very common thing in management, you can set a deadline to be either next day, end of day, the current assigned task at the end of that day, or you can set a specified elapsed time. So if I want to say, all right, in 4 days, I want this particular task to fail automatically, you can then write a condition, and I'll get into that in a second, in the rule builder to handle that failed task. So that allows you to, so for instance, someone gets a pull request, let's say it takes them 2 days and they haven't done it yet, you could either get notified or you could have it assigned to someone else. So you can automate your workflow very granularly if you'd like. So let's look at those. So again, the task templates are pretty simple. It's really just the way to display the information to the user. So I'm going to go into the Rules and Conditions tab here. And you'll see again, I have 3 rules already created, and these are quite simple. You can make them much more complex. I'm going to show you, just generally speaking, what you have at your disposal. But right now I have issue, comment, and pull request. So if I go into issue, because that was the first demonstration I showed, when this loads up, you'll see that our system is very simple. So basically you create your conditions. Conditions are going to filter down, so the more you add, the less likely it is going to be to fire. And then you're going to dictate the consequences that happen when that condition is true. So in this particular situation, we are reacting to a GitHub event that is an issue event. And then if you click on these ellipses right here, you'll see that there are a series of fields that we are using to select down that event. So the assignee is person. This is actually we call a person variable. So this is your reference. So we don't talk about Bjönd users directly when you're writing a rule. You're going to be talking about either the person. So in this case, it's whoever matches with the GitHub ID that you put in the person record. So in this case, if the assignee is from bcflynn2, which is my GitHub username, then when this comes through, it's going to be assigned to my person. Now, you can also reference any other people on the team by how they're related. I'm going to create another video for that to go in more detail because that's a really powerful part of our system. Right now you see some stuff that's actually for another video that's healthcare related, but you can configure these however you want. You can create new relationships, and then you can define those relationships via social graph on the person record that I'll show you in a separate video. But it allows you to say, so in this particular instance, very straightforward, an assign or an issue event comes in, the assignee is the person you're talking about. So in this case, in the case that I showed you, I was assigned something to me. This Bjönd account that we're looking at now is assigned to my GitHub ID, so that's me. Now, if I were to reference my employer, then I can send a task to my employer when I'm assigned a task. So you can reference people by how they're related. State, so this is open or closed, really very simple. Action, so when you create, when we're reacting to an issue assignment, we want assigned, but you can also react to a reopen, you can react to an edit, you can say react to if an issue is closed, labeled, unlabeled, opened, which is very generic, demilestoned or milestoned, which is pretty powerful actually when you're creating your sprints, and then unassigned. So if it's removed, you can send a task to handle that as well. Now, private repository, this is just a Boolean flag, and you can set that to true or false, depending on if this is a private repository or not. In my case, it actually is. So we'll set that to true. And just to show you what else you can do with this, you can, first of all, you can add any number of conditions, and you can and or them. But on the GitHub adapter, so you're going to go in and select GitHub. There are several other possible events that can occur other than issue events. So you can do issue comment, push event, or pull request. So issue comment is very similar to the issue event. You're going to see a lot of the same fields here. So you're going to see assignee, your milestone, state, action, repository name. So you can filter down what event you actually want to react to based on these fields. Now if we go in and we change that to a push event, so this is when a developer is pushing their code up to either a branch or the main branch, depending on how you want to configure it, which I'll show you in a second. You can react to, and again, if this is something that's like a team lead position, you can reference this by relationship. So you can say when a developer now pushes to master, for instance, I want to let my team leads know, regardless if they have a pull request assigned or not. I also want to know maybe if someone uses the forced flag so that they force up a push. That's actually a very good thing to do. You can reference the person by pusher. So this again, the person variable. So you can say, if you wanted to, you can say that person was that person's team member. If you want a team lead, for instance, something like that. Now we're going to use person again, just for transparency's sake. Organization, so that's going to be your company usually, or individual, depending on if it's an open source project or not usually. And then repository name is a string. And then branch reference, you can put a string in forever you want, so you can set up a specific branch for a specific purpose. You just type in the string of that branch name here. Now, the other available at the time of this recording is the pull request, which is something along with the issue and the issue comment we actually use internally with our development team, and it works quite well, is when someone's assigned a pull request, they'll get a task, and then you can also, as I mentioned before, set a deadline for that pull request. and reassign it if it takes too long, just to make sure that there are no roadblocks. Now, there again are a series of fields that are available to the event that you can use to narrow down when you want to react to that pull request. So you can say, the pull request author, there's a state of the pull request, there's also going to be open or closed. You can say repository name, you can action again, this is going to be your state of the actual event. And there are different events for pull requests. You can see review requested, edited, labeled, closed, unlabeled, opened, unassigned, etc. This is probably best to just explore through it. It's usually pretty straightforward, but you can set even just the number of review comments. So you can say, I want to react to a pull request that has more than 3 comments on it. You want to say a pull request for the current milestone, be an old milestone, something along those lines. Number of deletions, number of changed files, so larger pull requests you can notify the whole team of. So this is all quite powerful and something that we've again used internally to great effect. Now consequence. Now this is, right now we're using it to assign a task. You can do several other things in our system. At this point in time when this records, you can create communication templates to send text to people, again by relationship. It doesn't have to be the person that's specifically mentioned in this. You can send it to a text to a person's team lead if their a team member gets a pull request, something along those lines. But in this particular situation, we are just assigning a task. That was what we made before, the task template GitHub issue, and we're assigning it directly to the individual that's assigned that task. So again, you can get complicated or simple. You can make any number of consequences in one. Right now, we have the ability to assign a task. You can tag someone, and you can react to those tags in a different rule. And you can send a communication. This is also part of the system, and I'll get into that in more detail on a different video that can be extended through our integration platform. And so we're working on adding, common situations like send a Slack message to a specific channel. Send out, you could do something as silly as send out a tweet when a release comes out automatically. So we have a bunch of different adapters in the works for this, and it just allows us to glue systems together. But for this particular situation, we're just going to use the straight tasks, which is the workflow management within our product. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. Please add to the comment section below if you have any questions, or reach out to us directly. Again, we've used this internally to great effect, and hopefully you can find usage for it as well. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you can watch our other videos to come. Thank you very much.